It's always good to see a little red light on there.
Yeah, I love that record button.
Also learned that when that red light is blinking on this camera, it means memory card full. Our last episode has about 52 minutes of us with our beautiful faces on the camera.
Not speaking, but we were recording here, weren't we?
Yeah, the full thing is on here. So our loyal listeners get to hear our voices. Fortunately for people, they only have to endure 52 minutes of our faces.
52 minutes is just long enough to make someone vomit 52 times.
That's what I need. I think I'm going to try the whole bulimia thing.
Yeah, it works out well, but you have to deal with the teeth erosion from all of your stomach acids over time. Just get veneers.
But I'm eroding them on the front with the bourbon, so might as well even it out on the back.
You're just going to have nubs.
Yeah, like George Washington. I'm going to try to make some George Washington bathtub gin, I think. I'm like a hard gin kick right now.
Yeah, I was telling you, Sapphire is my kryptonite.
Bombay, yeah. It's so good.
Oh, my gosh.
I could go for a gin and tonic right now. Maybe that's a gin in here.
I'm not going to say. If you see me take a sip and go, it's gin.
It's like the way your head flinches, that only one's head can flinch at St. Elmo's when they have the shrimp cocktail.
The shrimp cocktail. That cocktail sauce. If you guys have never had the shrimp cocktail,
molten lava
at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis, it is fire. It's so delicious. The first time I went, you were like, you have to have this. Yeah. And I like cocktail sauce. And I love horseradish. And you even described it. You said, after you take one, the whole thing, crush it. You're going to regret it for about 30 seconds. Yep. And then you're going to say, okay, let's do another one. That's exactly what happened, man. They are awesome. If you guys have never been to that steakhouse, go there just for the shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, just go sit at the bar.
And drink.
Gin and tonics.
Speaking of gin and tonics, we're in the summertime right now. Summertime drink is gin and tonics, perfect summertime drink. And we are kicking off our summer hunting season.
Gold star for Billy for that transition right there.
Boom.
That was awesome. It's pro level.
Yeah, that it. But
I thought we were going to talk about drinking. It would just be a circular episode.
It's a familiar topic.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I talk about it with my wife all the time. Like, why'd you do this again?
She talks at you.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't talk with her.
No, I get told. It's not a conversation.
My wife's in denial. She's in denial. She just pretends that I didn't stumble.
Yeah. Oh, no, Billy just tripped again. It's his sandals.
Yeah.
My Jerusalem cruisers. My Birkenstocks are so tight on my feet, there's no way I could trip.
She just says, put your Crocs in four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, baby.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, it's summertime, though, and we are kicking off KP season. So it's something that we get asked all the time is, how do we hunt year-round? And, we have seasons like everybody else does, except our seasons are much longer. So
let's run down just a quick recap of what our seasons look like. So first Saturday in September is the opening of like the urban archery.
Yep, the traditional deer season is
sure, and that's a antlerless only season until the either sex season begins. The real quote unquote season starts in October, the first Saturday in October. And then our real season ends the first Saturday in January. And then after that, it's antlerless only again in these urban areas until the end of April. So we just got out of, our regular season. Everyone else is like, whoa, we're in turkey season? No, we've still been deer hunting up until this point.
And some areas, you can still hunt with a gun. Like where we were turkey hunting with a shotgun, we could have theoretically shot a deer legally. Obviously we're not going to shoot it with turkey load, but if it's funny because I think we probably have the only turkey vests in the country that have buckshot or slugs in the pockets of, because if you see a doe, you just crack her.
You could. I mean, you can actually, it's almost like the fall season where, in that brief time where you can hunt turkeys during deer season.
Yep.
Well, we can also do that in the spring. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And let's think about that. And obviously everyone has heard, we've told them how overpopulated the deer are, and the herd reduction is the main deal. And that's why we're hunting, during these year-round seasons.
And that's why some people would probably frown upon shooting a doe while you're out turkey hunting. And, the reason that we're doing that is because we kind of owe it to the population control that we've signed up to do, to harvest any doe that we're able to, ethically and while we're out. So, it's not hunting as much as it's controlling a herd.
It's culling.
Yes.
And because people have said, I know they've commented before on some of our other YouTube videos and on Instagram and things like that. And I remember even on the Outdoor Life article, people were like, oh, that's not hunting. And I can see where they would, I can see that perspective where you're right. We're culling animals, but we're using all of our hunting techniques in order to do so.
Well, and we've talked about this before also. I think a lot of people have this false, perception that, oh, that's easy. You're shooting tame deer. You're shooting fish in a barrel. It's like, dude, we've talked about this a
Ask
million
Greg
times.
and Jared with the turkeys. They were like, oh yeah, there's a lot of animals around here, but they act just like the ones when they were hunting in Georgia.
Yeah,
or
and you can stand in the backyard and see deer 80 yards away pretty regularly. Go try to get inside 30 yards of that. Go cross into the woods or go set up in a tree. I mean, they know their area because of the area that they're living in is so small. They know every single little detail.
We've talked about that before where, if you walk into your bedroom and you're not half cocked, right? But if you walk into your bedroom and something's out of place, like there's a random chair in your bedroom, you are going to notice. Yeah. Just like a deer's going to notice a random bush, a big lump in a tree.
Every time I walk into my bedroom, I see a random bush. I'm like, what? Get out of here, dude. I'm home. I'm in town this week. Why are you here?
He's like, let me grab my UPS vest.
Yeah. Adios.
So, outside of, the reasons we're still hunting and we're getting into an actual hunting season, a lot of people are interested in how we do it. And I've taken some techniques that I used when I used to live in Atlanta, and I hunted a lot of hogs down there right out of college. And it was blazing hot. So you guys who are listening in the Southeast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Opening day of deer season, and it can be 100 degrees outside. So what are some of the techniques that we use when it's blazing hot? I'm not talking about the deer prep and what we do after the kill. We'll talk about that in a bit. But what do we do to make it more comfortable for us to be actually on a stand during this time of the year?
Oh, one of my absolute favorite things to do is a frozen Nalgene bottle in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
Take a Nalgene bottle, put it in the freezer the day before your hunt, take it out as a solid chunk of ice.
Will you fill it all the way up?
Like 80% of the way.
Yeah. So then you can pour water in.
Yep. I'll pour a splash of water in so it kind of starts the melting process, keeps it cold, but it melts pretty fast. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, even if you're sitting there and you're just sweating, so our kill permit season, we're able to hunt does in. We can hunt from the day that it's issued. So let's say the first day after the season, the urban archery season ends, all the way up to that first Saturday in September. So it covers the traditional seasons that are papered by the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we're hunting in June, July, August. It's 100+ degrees. It is miserable.
And we do try to pick days that aren't
they're
so
cooler
hot.
because the deer aren't moving also. Like I don't want to go sit in a tree. You don't want to go sit in a tree when it's 100 degrees out. It's 110% humidity and you're just not seeing anything.
And the deer, they're going to move after dark anyway.
Right. And all you're dealing is swatting mosquitoes all day long, right? The worst ever.
Mm-hmm.
But so on those cooler days when it's, a good day to move, like there's a video that we did probably a couple years ago now, but we had like a 60-degree temperature drop or 40-degree temperature drop. It was like
it went from over 100. I think the heat index was like 110.
Yeah, to like 60, 65.
Yeah. Actually, we can probably even pin that on this video so you guys can check that video out.
And that was awesome. That was a fun hunt.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, so, days when there are weather patterns that come through, we're choosing to hunt. Still, it's hot. It's blazing hot. And that frozen Nalgene bottle, you take it and put it on your neck, get it on that main artery up into your head. Oh, God.
Don't breathe through your neck meat. I've done frozen washcloths.
Yep, same thing.
You know, and I just put it in a Ziploc bag. Now, a lot of times when I hunt in the evening, you know, after work, I can't bring it to work because then it's thawed out. It kind of loses the point. But you know, I will do it in the morning, or if I can go home and then go back out and hunt. Which that's something that we'll do too. Is we limit our hunts to like an hour, hour and a half in the morning, and an hour and a half in the evening. That's it, because it's cooler during those times. There's more deer that are, you know, that are going to be moving at those points, and the vegetation that's on the ground is super thick during that time of the year. I mean, it's at the thickest, most lush point. So you've got visual blocking for the deer that are bedded that we can get in very, very close, well within 100 yards of a bedded deer as long as we're quiet and slide up into a tree. So we'll get in very, very quietly, but late. So our hunts a lot of times are really quick.
Yeah, I really like hunting those mornings that time of year, especially because sun's coming up so early. I mean, I can be home and done by like 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still taking my kids to school.
Oh, yeah. It's 5:30 in the morning and the sun's coming out.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you would have maybe already even shot a deer by then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're home by 8 with a deer on ice kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice to be able to, you know, I mean, yeah, it sucks getting up at, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:45 or something, but you have the whole day ahead of you. So it's a nice. So
that's the toughest part for me, is getting up so early, like day in and day out.
Yeah.
You know, I already get up early, and now I'm going to get up even earlier. I still prefer evenings. You know, it sucks when you first get in there, because by the time you get in the tree, you're sweating.
Oh, you're a mess.
You know, look, scent control is out the window at that point. Just we play the wind. I mean, look, we've talked about scent control many times, but this is one situation where, you know, I'm not really sweating. If I bust a deer, oh well.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's another thing where that vegetation comes in to help, because there's so much vegetation and green up that, you know, most people aren't used to. It helps kind of block some of your scent, or your scent will kind of, if you don't have a really heavy wind or any wind, like those real just miserable August days, July days, your scent will just kind of pool in that pocket there. And the leaves kind of help contain it to some extent. I
also wonder if the vegetation that's there isn't also almost acting as a cover scent, because there's so many scents and smells. I mean, the winter woods, there aren't very many smells in the winter woods, but if you go and walk around, there's different flowers and weeds and bugs, and, you know, there's all the different types of things that put off scents in the summertime. So I think that helps also.
For sure. I think the humidity helps as well.
Yeah.
You know, all that moisture in the air again.
Yeah, from my sweating carcass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just dripping out of you.
One of the other issues is, you know, clothing. So before I really got into some of the more high-tech gear, high-tech clothing, I was wearing cotton, or even those like really thin mesh suits, and I would just kind of throw them over whatever clothes I was wearing. But now, merino wool. I know people are like, you wear merino wool in the middle of the summer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because when I sweat, it's gone off my body and cooling me. And I'm in the shade. There's no way I'm going to sit in a stand in the sun, you know,
with your zinc on your nose like a lifeguard,
just burning up. So I'm in the shade, and if I do sweat, it evaporates, and I'm actually really, really comfortable. It's the same stuff I wear when I'm hiking on an elk hunt in beginning of September. It's like my merino wool base layers. That's what I wear.
And I'll never forget when I first started wearing First Light also, and the merino wool base layers. I'm like, these guys don't understand what I'm telling them, right? Because they're like, no, wear the Wick 150 hoodie. I'm like, no, dude, it's 100, you know? And finally, I wore it, and I loved it. I mean, because it pulls the sweat right off your body. It stays wet. It helps you cool down. And I loved the hoodie aspect because I can keep my neck covered, and I don't have to worry about a hat. I can just pull it over, and it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's really,
it's surprising. You know you're going to sweat. if you're not sweating and you didn't climb a tree, I mean, during that time of the year,
I'm sweating just thinking about climbing a tree in August.
I know, and it's going to happen. I mean, you get out of the car and it's already beating on your brow, so you might as well have something that's literally what it's made for. It's made to get that sweat away from your body and have it evaporate. And I think the faster it evaporates, and I could be wrong, I have no idea, no science to back this up, but I would think that the faster it evaporates, the less bacteria has a chance to colonize and make offensive smells. I don't know. I may be wrong about that, but I feel pretty fresh even after sweating in something like that if I'm sitting in a tree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wash mine ever. I mean, it really doesn't. It's amazing, like how little it stinks after I've put it through like a pretty gross amount of sweat. And same with the wool pants.
Yeah.
And again, people are like, dude, you're wearing wool. I mean, so many people have this connotation that like a wool parka is wintertime, obviously. But they don't realize that wool is incredibly effective 12 months out of the year.
Yeah. A guy that I work with, this has been years, but we were doing irrigation work in the summertime blazing hot out. And he pulled his pant leg up, and I saw he was wearing
gesture.
Oh God! He pulled his pant leg up, and I saw that he was wearing wool socks. I'm like, dude, summertime, you don't wear wool socks in the summer. He was like, my feet don't get hot, and he said, yeah, insulating layers will insulate both ways, right?
Yeah.
They insulate for cold. In fact, you pulled a pork butt out of a cooler earlier today. Coolers traditionally holding beer, holding ice, but you're trying to keep that heat temperature in. So insulation works both ways. By the way, that pork butt was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty tasty. I hope you like it because you're taking some of it home. Because if I eat 8 pounds of pork, my wife's not going to love me anymore.
Why?
Well, I eat it all in one sitting. I look like Jabba the Hutt just on the couch.
Wow.
That and the gin.
I didn't taste any gin in your pulled pork.
It's in my mouth.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I can smell it on your breath. No, that was good. But anyway, back to the clothing that we wear. Ideally, you want to have something that's going to keep you dry, keep that moisture wicked off of you. Another accessory that I use, and it's crucial, is a thermocell.
Yeah, at least a thermocell. Sometimes 2 thermocell.
Yeah, when we hunt in like bottom lowland areas where there's going to be mosquitoes, marshy areas that are really bad, or like hunting sika deer in the marsh, I mean, they'll carry you away. It's ridiculous. There's like 3 different types of mosquitoes that can kill you down there. So 2 thermocells absolutely in those really bad conditions, but no matter what, I'm absolutely using a thermocell. And I refill the fuel canisters also, and you can refill them actually higher than, with more volume than they actually come in. Maybe dangerously. I'm not gonna
use it at your own risk.
Yeah, I'm not gonna teach you how to do that, but there are definitely YouTube videos out there that can.
There's a thing called Google.
The Googles, but those thermocells though they work really really well.
Yeah, they're worth their weight in gold.
Yep. They don't help with ticks though.
Yep.
So
that's another thing. Permethrin, absolute 100% have to use it. I don't like, I kind of go like belly button down on my permethrin on my clothes just because it's a low level nerve agent. I feel like it's probably not the best thing to be breathing in. And
when you're breathing out your gin fumes,
yeah,
they're just going to kill everything.
Toxic flame. Yeah. My gin toothbrush. But I make my own permethrin mix. So I go to Tractor Supply and I get the 10% concentrate that they make for horses.
Yep.
It's like a shampoo, I think. And I'll mix a 1% solution. Most of the Sawyer stuff is a 0.5%. Well, I figure more is better.
Yeah, right.
So the 1%, and I'll either soak my pants, thigh down in it, or just spray it on in a Home Depot bottle. Really, really effective.
I'll do everything. I put my saddle, gloves, socks. Socks are really important, I think.
Yeah, socks, because especially if you wear your socks, I like to wear the really high compression socks that First Light makes, so they go right up to like below my kneecap. soak those in permethrin.
Yeah.
And I mean, the area that we were turkey hunting most recently is loaded with ticks.
Yep.
They have a lot of deer out there. There's a lot of like understory vegetation. For whatever reason, there's always been really bad ticks out there. When we went out there to roost a bird with Greg and Jared, we all were pulling ticks off of us because we were just wearing our regular street clothes.
Yep.
And I went there hunting recently last week with my brother, and I wore my permethrin suit, and I only had one tick on me. So it's amazing.
Surprising. But you know that permethrin does last too, you know.
Yeah, it lasts like 15 washings.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see, if you guys have never had permethrin treated clothing, to see like an ant crawl across your pants. It's like doing this dance where its legs are going up and it's like, oh my God,
it dies.
I'm touching lava. And then it just croaks and falls off. It's like, oh my God.
I've one of the first times I used permethrin, I was watching a tick kind of come up my leg very slowly, and it made it from about my kneecap to mid thigh before it fell off.
Yeah.
And this stuff works fantastically.
And it kills them. It doesn't just repel them, it kills them. Yeah. Chiggers too.
Yep.
Have you ever had chiggers?
Oh, they're the worst.
Oh my gosh. I was scouting this property one time that it was really good. 45 minutes from my house. It was a little bit of a hike, but it was really, really good. I fell in love with this property. This person gave me permission. And when I got home, my wife was like, I was like itching real bad. And she's looking and she's like, you have zillions of, I think they're little baby ticks all over you. They were chiggers.
Oh,
dude, that was the worst. And those chigger bites last like weeks.
Yeah, they make you want to rip your skin off.
Oh, they're terrible. That must be what like
meth is like.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like when you're on meth and you're scratching your eyeballs out or whatever. I have chiggers coming out of my eyes. I'll scratch them out.
But yeah, permethrin, absolutely. Like, I will not go in the woods without permethrin on.
Yeah, I mean, especially after you had a little incident with.
Yeah, I got jacked up after Kentucky this year. Everybody that was on that trip got really, really, really sick, and took them. You know, I think part of the problem was the fact that everybody was so COVID conscious. But I felt like I'd been beaten with a baseball bat from head to toe. Absolutely, the sickest I've ever been. I had a fever of 102 to 105 for 2 weeks. And every time I went to the doctor, they're like, "Oh, you have COVID." Yet I was taking COVID tests that was testing negative. And finally, it takes a while for your blood platelets to show whatever you have for these tick-borne illnesses. But the doctor called me and was like, "Hey, we got your results back, and your Rocky Mountain spotted fever levels are the highest the lab has tested." I was like, I told you I was sick. My wife the entire time was like, "You're hungover. You're just hungover." Because we had a big golf tournament the 3 days prior, and I was sick, man. I did not feel good at all. And then finally, I couldn't walk. I was toast, man. And so I take ticks way more seriously now than I did before that. Obviously, I always respected ticks. I didn't want them. I wasn't inviting them to crawl on me. But I felt like, a tick needs to be on you for, I think, 30 to 36 hours to transmit Lyme's disease.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And don't quote me on that.
Dr. Taylor over here.
Yeah.
Infectious disease doctor.
Most people haven't heard of the school that I went to for law school. It's called Harvard.
You ever heard of that?
I got my doctorate there, too.
Yeah. Did you hang out with Sloan Kettering while you were there? Johnny Hopkins?
Yeah, Johnny. I used to smoke pot with Johnny Hopkins.
Him and Sloan Kettering, they used to blaze that shit up with you, right?
But yeah, so I take ticks pretty seriously now.
Look, ticks can carry things that can kill you.
Yeah.
Right? Or debilitate you, put you down hardcore. Or the Lone Star tick carries that one horrible disease where you're allergic to red meat.
Not mess with that. I'd rather suck start a 12 gauge than not be able to eat a T-bone ever again.
Yeah, that would be the worst ever. My cousin actually transmitted that or got that disease, contracted that disease, and was like, screw it, I'm still going to eat red meat because he was full carnivore. He quit. He said it made him so violently ill that he said it wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah. So fortunately, Taco Bell doesn't use any real meat, so you're fine.
Where are you getting sick from that anyway?
Yeah.
Either way, you get that disease or Taco Bell, same thing's going to happen.
Yeah, violently ill. Or too much gin.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's another one. Get the shakes from it.
Yeah, I get it from or without.
Yep.
Yeah, so kill permit season. Why do we call it kill permit season? We actually get handed a piece of paper from the state that says official license to kill, which is pretty cool. So a landowner requests this from the state. The state issues it based on the damage that's been done to their property by the deer. And it allows
and the state can deny it also.
Correct. If there's, it's not just,
if they don't deem it,
it's not guaranteed.
Yep.
You have to have deer issues and a severe overpopulation of deer. They do a site visit. It's not just some like rubber stamped piece of paper that comes out, and it's a lot for us to manage because we have to have the paper official license on every property that we're doing it on,
and we have to have it on hand.
Yes, and also we have to be selective about which ones we're hunting because the state doesn't like to issue these at the end of the kill permit season or when the kill permit expires. They request the numbers of deer harvested under that permit. And if that owner goes back to the state with 0, the state does not like that.
Yeah, then why did they come out and...
Correct. They wasted their time, and they, just like anybody else, they don't like to have their time wasted.
Or they think, well, no deer were harvested. Maybe there aren't very many deer there.
Correct. So it's important that, if you are asking a landowner to get a kill permit, that you're going to hunt it and you're going to be successful on it. And, without fail, we've been doing this now for over 10 years. Without fail, every year in like August, it's like, hey, dude, what KPs do you need to hit? And we'll go team hunt on them and make sure that we get 2 or 3 or 4 harvests.
Yeah. Because,
I don't want my name. You don't want your name associated with a kill permit that has a goose egg on it.
Yeah. And the kill permits they're basically the same exact permits that people are familiar with throughout the country, that farmers use.
Yeah.
And that gets a negative connotation from the hunting industry. And the folks in the hunting communities they see, oh, this, farmer, they just shoot deer. And a lot of times, a lot of farmers will shoot them. And I think in some states, you don't actually have to recover the deer if they're killed on a kill permit. You can bury them, and that's appropriate way to dispose of them because this is not considered by the state hunting. This is a kill permit to kill and cull deer to save property damage and things like that. So they're really the same things that happen on farms. Now, a lot of times folks will get hunting permission from farmers, and farmers say, yeah, kill them all. So then they don't have to go out in the summertime on a kill permit and shoot them off their tractor. They can have hunters that actually control the population for them in agricultural areas too.
We had an issue on a property. I had permission on like a 4,000 acre chunk of property down in Marshall, Virginia. Beautiful tract of ground, pain in the butt to hunt. Took me an hour to get there, hour to get back. Very
spoiled.
Difficult. Yeah, I know. It's sad how spoiled we are because I'm like, well, I'd rather drive 15 minutes and walk 40 yards than load my e-bike up. Gosh darn it. But I got a call from that farmer. He was like, probably about this time 3 or 4 years ago, he's like, hey, I need help with the bears. And I was like, what? He had gotten a kill permit issued for black bear on his property and needed help shooting them. They had a ton of corn there, and these bears were like me in a bathtub full of gin. They're like laying in the corn and just pulling stalks down. If you've never seen where bears have laid in a cornfield, it's amazing. It looks like a UFO landed there because they'll just lay on their back and literally pull the stalks down, and then they'll like shimmy a little and pull more down. It's this big circle. It looks like they crush corn.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, the state issued a KP for black bear.
Did you go hunt it at all?
No.
Too far away.
I pawned it off and was like, well, the last thing I want to do is go shoot some black bears in July and August. And we had so much of an issue here with all the KPs that we call kill permits KPs. you can figure out why. But we had an issue with our KPs. We had a lot that we needed to hunt. I think it like had rained. That was the summer where it rained like all the time.
Oh yeah.
And it was either 105 or torrential downpours, and it was very hard to find a time to get out. And so we kind of had a backlog of KPs that we had to hunt. And I was like, hey man, I love you. I love your farm. I can't come hunt black bear.
Yeah.
But I had some buddies in the area that were able to help them out. So
Yeah.
then they ended up taking the property from me. But
Good. Well, you weren't out there performing, so
yeah,
you have to be a dancing bear sometimes.
is that why my wife's upset all the time?
Lack of performance.
Yeah, I'm batting 12.
After we shoot a deer, and it's 1 trillion degrees outside, we've talked about this a little bit before too, especially if it's in the evening. It doesn't get dark until like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, it's brutal.
So when you're shooting one at 9, by the time you really get it loaded up into your truck and stuff like that, it's 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11.
Skin it, quarter it.
By the time you get to
1 o'clock in the morning.
it's 1 o'clock in the morning by the time you get to bed. So there's a couple things that I've done to help the process, right? So there's no getting around. As soon as you find it, it's field dressed immediately, if not sooner.
I'll get down.
Yeah.
As soon as I shoot a deer in the KP season, if it's really hot out, I'm getting down.
I'm not waiting an hour.
No, that animal would be bloated and gross like that. I mean, it's amazing.
Flies get on them
Instantly.
There's they're actually big, the shiny green ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're on them right away.
Yeah. And probably because they were flying around me.
Filthy critter you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get down right away, field dress them immediately, and I will go right away and get ice. Throw it inside the cavity. What I have been doing lately, past few years, is I think that cooler is like 120 or 160 quart cooler. It's the biggest cooler known to man.
The igloo one?
Yeah, it's huge. Mm-hmm. And I can fit medium-sized deer in it or 2 small ones in it, but their legs stick out. So I'll even take loppers and cut their legs off, at the knees, I guess, so you can fit them in there and then dump ice on them right away.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, I do not wait to skin them. I didn't show you this yet, but I bought a small Harbor Freight winch. Yeah.
Nice.
And now I'm winching off the hide. So I haven't used it yet, but that's what they do at the butcher shops and stuff like that. So, but that's what I'm going to be doing this year. But anyway, I get the hide off right away.
Have you seen the golf ball trick for that?
Yeah.
You
you put a golf ball in it,
and then
tie
cinch to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
There's all kinds of different ways to do it, but
Well,
now I'm getting smarter about it.
It only took 10 years.
Well, yeah, I've only been hunting forever.
I'll make sure to bring some deer to your house this KP season. You can show me how to do it.
You've done that before.
Yeah. Yeah, what was that? Last September, I think I brought a couple deer to your house.
Yeah, you brought a couple. Well, we had those guys that would take them, though.
Yep.
So, but yeah, as soon as I skin them, now what I'm doing is I'm quartering them and putting them on ice with the drain plug open on the cooler. Then I can leave them and I can process them and butcher them whenever I want. I mean, I've left them in there 10 days or longer, 12 days even.
Just keep changing the ice out?
I don't even change the ice. I just add more to it.
Do you have any issue to the meat by having like the water?
No,
on it?
because...
Do you elevate it up?
No, because I pull the drain plug. So it's never sitting in water. It's only sitting on ice. It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store.
Do you have any barrier between the ice and the meat?
No. Nope.
I've wanted to try this. Sorry to cut you off. You know at the grocery store where they drop off like the Coca-Cola, like the plastic Coca-Cola. It's like a crate, but it's designed to hold Cokes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would be perfect upside down to hold meat on, and it would elevate it up out of the ice to where that cool air is circulating. But I really just want to buy one of those CoolBot.
My buddy Blaze has one, and it looks like an awesome Coolabuck. That's what he has.
It's the one that's like it looks like a shower when you go camping.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it is.
Check that out. I'm gonna write that down. The other thing that I've been thinking about is I'm gonna build a shed somewhere over my yard, and I think I might just build like half of the shed and make it a butcher shop.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we just shoot so many deer, and I'm tired of taking the table out, putting it back. I could just, you know, you can
Just
build
have a spot.
just a small little, like, you know, 10 by 4 area kind of thing. I mean, I'm talking like a prison cell, nothing huge here. 6 by 8, as I recall.
Drunk tank.
Yeah, those are fun. That's like a party. I've heard. Yeah, it's all fun until the lights go on behind your car. No, I think it would be cool to have an area that we can like throw deer in, especially if it's like detached from my house. So like if you're hunting, you crack a couple, just come throw them in there. If some of our other buddies are hunting, just throw them in. Leave the thing open and just not have to worry about it. But we can all go there and cut them up and not have any issue.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue, because right now I butcher all my meat in my kitchen on my island.
Yeah,
and
my wife hates it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't take that long, because outside I'm quartering everything. So all I'm really doing is breaking down quarters. But I really don't want to do that in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to hose things off. Stainless steel tables, just hose it all down like a regular butcher shop.
Yeah, and you can go to like restaurant depots or some of those places where, you know, restaurants that went bankrupt, they sell their equipment back. You can buy one of those, like, you know, 6 foot, 8 foot stainless steel tables for nothing.
Yeah.
And you just put it in there, you put the grinder on it, you get a couple tubs.
I want one that's got a sink on it too.
Yeah.
That'd be ideal.
I don't know if we could plumb, I'm sure we could figure it out.
Sure, we can do just about anything. That would be ideal, though. That would be money.
You can help me build it. We'll make a video. We'll show everybody how we decided to design this.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, with all of these, COVID restaurants going out of business, there's got to be some, some supplies out there, or even walk-in coolers.
Dude, that's a great idea. I mean, I wonder if we could just buy a walk-in cooler and build. So I'm going to build a shed, right? Because I need to get all the stuff that's in my garage, like my mower and my bike, all that, all the kids. I need to make room for kid toys. So I'm going to build a shed. And, I mean, you could probably find a walk-in cooler and then build the shed around the cooler.
Yeah.
And just pour a concrete pad.
Yeah. Let's look into that.
We're glad that you guys can be here with us while we kind of think through.
Yeah, we're brainstorming. But this is what we
needs.
do. This is like, you guys like to hear, basically our conversations. That's what our podcast is about. It's really about what we talk about on a daily basis. And I mean, you just were able to see what our thought process says. And this is exactly how we plan hunts, how we figure out gear, how it's the same back and forth. Let's think of these ideas, and then we start putting pen to paper and getting things done.
Yeah. And in 3 years from now, it might actually be completed.
Maybe. Or we'll still be talking about it.
Yeah. We're still designing it.
But, I mean, we don't have that issue when it's cold outside, because you can hang a deer up and it sits there. And I aged a deer for 10 days this year with the hide still on it. 10 days. It was cold. It stayed like 32 degrees for like
Dude, that's what
days.
You get. This just reminded me of this. Your buddy that went out on that elk hunt and took the outdoor freezer, the ice thing. We got to be able to buy one of those, and we just put it on the side of my house, and then we can just throw carcasses in it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Another guy has a chest freezer that he lowers. He has a pulley system, and he'll lift a deer up and lower it into the freezer, and he has it on a timer, so the freezer only kicks on. It's the same thing as like a Coolabot or something, a Coolbot, but it's timer more than anything, so the deer doesn't freeze all the way. It doesn't freeze solid.
Yeah, you keep it. You just keep it at a certain temperature.
Yeah,
I bet your brother Josh could help us with that too.
Yeah, you probably could. Let's chit chat with him.
Yeah, we'll get him a couple beverages before.
Get him loaded up. But see, these are the things that we have to think about when it comes to these hot.
Yeah, and it's stuff that nobody else thinks about, right? Because I mean, when you shoot a deer in July, in August, June, whatever it is, when it's that hot outside, you need to like get down right away and get on it. Because, and the other thing to consider, a lot of the deer areas that we're hunting in, there are tons of fox, tons of coyotes, and so with that heat comes more odor. With that higher level of odor, game is on it faster. How many times have you gotten to a deer? I
Oh,
mean, I'm talking 30 minutes after
the
shooting
ass
it.
is eaten out of
Ass
it.
is eaten out of it. Couple coyotes on it. Whatever it is. I mean, right away. It's unbelievable. And granted, like they're trying to survive too. I get it. But it sucks.
I hate butchering an animal that has the tail and the ass eaten out of it. It just freaking grosses me out.
Yeah.
It really grosses me out. One other thing that, we didn't touch on is gear with like our bow, for example. When it's hot outside, you cannot leave your bow in your vehicle.
Or your arrows. Nothing.
You don't want to leave any of that stuff in there.
Saddle, fine.
Yeah.
The saddle's not.
But a rangefinder, you want to wreck a rangefinder, leave it on your dash when it's 110 degrees outside. Yeah. Smoked.
Yep.
Just send it back to Vortex. Call
Eric.
But help.
Yeah.
But I actually had one of my bows delaminate.
I remember that. That was like 8 years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was luckily I was able to get new limbs for it. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I'm in the middle of KP season. So it's still like in my mind the middle of a season, and I was down for probably a week or so without being able to hunt. And I will never forget that my clothing caught, like my arm caught on the limb in a way. I was like a splinter. I was like, what? And then I ran my hand and I went, oh my gosh, I almost got a splinter from it.
Yeah.
And it actually had started separate, and fibers started breaking off of it. And I never left my bow like all day long in there, but what I would do is I would definitely, have it in there for a couple hours. I do not do that anymore.
You can't.
No.
I mean, you were fortunate enough that you were able to see what was going on and catch it before you shot it. But I mean, the strings will stretch.
Yep.
Nothing good comes from extreme heat. And people don't realize how hot your car gets when the air's off and you're not in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that whether it's your truck bed or anything, it is smoking hot in there.
Yep.
And is a major problem.
So what I've done to combat that is I will take my bow out of my vehicle. And if it's outside in the shade and it's 100 degrees, well, I mean, that's okay. They're made to be able to, you can hunt them, hunt with them in 100-degree weather. But 160 or 180, that's
difference.
Yeah, that's cooking it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just take it out, put it in my office or, whatever.
Just carry it through the post office with me.
That's going postal.
Yeah.
With a bow. But you could have picked a better weapon, psycho.
Do you know one thing that I've started bringing with me that most people think I'm joking about when I tell them? But I have one of those little fans with a spritzer on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's awesome. And I'll sit there in the trees. It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
That and a couple of Mama Lucia's little Italian ices.
Those are pretty good. Now, I have, I've definitely taken a soft-sided cooler, like my backpack, because when you're up there and you're hot and you're sweating, it's like if you can crack open like
a beer.
I wish, right? No, but if you can crack open like an ice cold drink.
Well, that's where that Nalgene comes in so handy. Because it's frozen. I mean, my problem is I'll chug all the water available. So the ice actually helps like regulate me as well. Because before I would get up in the tree, I'd be like, oh, I'm so hot from my 19-foot climb with my fat ass climbing up the tree.
I had to walk 40 yards.
Yeah. I rode my e-bike in.
The entire 40 yards.
Yeah.
Almost got it up to speed.
Yeah. Never charged the battery. Used it for a whole season.
Yeah, but those are the major considerations. The heat is the bear. That's the beast. There was one time where we also do have thunderstorms that pop up, and they could be dangerous and pretty violent. There was one property I was hunting on, and there was a thunderstorm that was coming. I knew it was coming, but it was going to get around me. And the neighbor, or the landowner, sticks her head outside the sliding glass door, was like, William, I just had an alert. There's a big thunderstorm coming. You need to get down right now. I was like, ugh.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks. I got down, and I don't even remember if it rained or not, but it was so funny that I'm in her backyard. Like I can see her in her kitchen washing dishes, and she's like, hey, hey, there's going to be a storm.
It's gonna rain.
It's going to rain. And I'm like, girl, I'm going to make it rain.
Oh, make it rain. Get your dollar bill Supreme gun. Just fill one of those with tags. So one thing to also consider for anybody that is hunting in hot weather, I used to, before I had the deck system in my truck, I had a rubber tote that I put all my stuff in, right? Well, I had been wearing one of those 3D leafy suits, and I threw it in the back of my tote and closed it up, and it's airtight.
Oh.
And like 2 weeks later, we went to hunt, and I opened it up, and there was black mold like growing out. Everything in there was covered in mold.
Yeah.
So do not put stinky, sweaty, wet items back in your tote.
No, that's actually a really good point. You do like in the wintertime, I don't wash my hunting clothes like for every hunt. When they get dirty, I wash them. But like
Maybe.
if they get bad,
Yeah.
I'll definitely wash them. If there's blood on them, which I try not to get bloody. That's the worst. But in the summertime, bro, if you get all sweaty and you just ball it up and throw it in a corner somewhere, functified.
Oh, it's
that
worse
stuff
than like
is
football pads back in the day.
no. So in my laundry room, I've got one of those, just a wash bin. It's like a sink. Well, I don't even know what the hell they're called, but you know what I mean.
It's called a laundry room sink.
Laundry room sink, like the big
mud
deep,
room sink. Yeah.
big deep ones. Yeah, that's ideal. I plug that sucker and I just do like a whatever that odorless, detergent shit is, and I just hand wash them and then hang them up. Right there, and they drain right into the
Yep.
right into the
Yeah,
to
those
the
mud
sink.
room sinks are killer.
And I used to do it in a big tote. I did it in coolers before. I was like, oh, I'm washing my cooler at the same time, and that is not a good
Why
idea.
are my camo all red?
Why does it smell like gin? But now that's what I do. I hand wash, and dude, it is freaking disgusting.
Yeah, the color of the water. Yeah. Like
It
beef stock.
it looks
Who
like,
made iced tea?
oh, yeah. And it's funny when I come back from Colorado, the dirt and dust that comes out of it is really light colored, and depending on where I hunt, like around here, it's almost like a brownish red.
Yeah, we get
dark.
clay.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's something. Definitely wash your clothes, or at least hang them out to dry. Because if you just ball them up in a corner,
No bueno.
no, it smells so good.
It's funky.
I wonder if that's a good cover scent though.
Butt.
Doo doo.
Eau de la butt.
The butt.
Sir, under hobbies you wrote debit. Yeah, that's the butt.
Yeah, that's the butt.
I also like tennis. What a great movie. There are probably people out there that have never seen The Ladies
The
Man.
Ladies Man.
Can I buy you a fifth sandwich?
I actually have had Courvoisier because of that movie.
Yeah. Well, that movie came out like we were in like high school, maybe a little early.
I don't remember.
I think it was like late 90s.
Something. Either way. Courvoisier.
Great movie.
Dude, that
Have
is
you ever been down the Yellow River? Yes, one time I did not like it.
highly recommend The Ladies Man.
It's just full of one-liners. That is a great movie. Yeah, so I think for anybody out there that is curious as to KP hunting, kill permit hunting, it's a pretty good rundown. If you guys have any other questions, let us know. And then really, I mean, hunting that first hour of sunrise, last hour of the day is critical. Getting your game right away, having a game plan. Like that's probably my biggest tip. Is like have a plan as to everything. And don't just like throw your bow in the car and leave it there. Don't, make sure you have a cooler with you. I like to take those big Deer Park like cylinders that have the little handles on them. I'll freeze a couple of those and I'll keep them in my cooler in my truck bed, and I'll shove those up in the chest cavity of a deer. They fit perfectly. They're great. Milk jug works well. Gatorade, any big, couple gallon item works great.
And it doesn't everything's not soaking wet.
Correct. And that's the key. That's why I was asking you about the meat in the cooler getting wet, is because obviously waterlogged meat, no good.
Yeah. allow it to drain.
Yeah.
You know.
But have a game plan. Know what you're going to do if you shoot one. Know exactly the quickest way to get the truck.
Also, know what you're going to do if you shoot one and it's a bad shot.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and you're going, I can't go after this deer. It's a bad shot. Are you going to call him to work the next day?
You have to. You owe it to the animal,
You know?
man. And that game, that deer is spoiled, but I still feel like you owe it to the animal and you owe it to the neighborhood and you owe it to yourself and all the hunters that you're representing by hunting in the burbs. Because, I mean, there have been a handful of times, I know this has happened to you as well, that I'll get a phone call and they're like, there's a dead deer in my yard by a landowner. I'm like, what? I haven't hunted in that area in forever. Obviously, I didn't shoot deer. But, some people, for whatever reason, they think it's acceptable or it's okay to just like, if you shoot one and you don't find it right away, you're like, whatever. And that's horrible, man.
Yeah. And that brings up another point, too, is when you do find it, even if it's a couple days later and it's in bad shape and it's been hot out, it's ruined, right? And it's in a neighborhood or close to a home or somewhere that a dog can find it. Get yourself a 6x10 or 6x12 tarp, wrap it up, take it out, and dispose of it yourself. So you were able to recover the deer and get it out of there. It wasn't recoverable, it wasn't edible, but it's not stinking up the neighborhood. The dogs aren't rolling around.
Fido's not coming back all green because he rolled around in the guts or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even if there's no negative impact like directly to the neighbors, you don't want 40 turkey vultures circling in the air, and people notice that. It's just a bad look for hunting in general. And, it gets back to something that we've harped on a lot, but most of these people that we have as clients, the people whose property we're hunting on, they have never, for the most part, most of them have not interacted with a hunter before. We are the representation of a hunter in their opinion. And you owe it to hunters in general to not put a black eye on hunting by doing crap like that.
Yeah. And it's just good practice to be able to do that and always try to put your best face forward for hunting, for our fellow hunters, for ourselves. And, it's going to give us more support later on, and maybe the other property owners and neighbors will then buy into it as well. You're helping them with the population control, and you're also doing it in a way that they can feel comfortable about it.
Absolutely. So I think that would be my biggest advice. Have a plan, think through everything. Hopefully some of this stuff is helpful. And, if anybody has a question, leave it in the comments below. Is there anything else that you think is like pertinent to add?
No, you hit on it at the end there. Having a plan, that is absolutely critical. Know what you're going to do. And if you don't know, or if you've got a plan and you think it might be good and you want us to weigh in on your plan, let us know. We'll be able to help you out.
It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. Punt in the mouth.
Punt in the nose.
Yeah, punt in the nose. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. Check in and let us know other topics you want to cover. This was a listener submitted question, and we both thought it was like a great topic to cover. So anything you guys want to hear, we just sit down here in the basement and wait for stuff to come in. So
yeah, literally, we're going to be sitting here for the next hour waiting, twiddling our thumbs, drinking water.
In Cavatier. So, yeah, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you want to hear, and thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, guys.